YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host TKK and we are back with another video, guys. We got the Sony Alpha 95 Legend 77-inch right in front of us here. We've got the 77-inch Samsung S95C right here in front of us, guys. And we've got the 77-inch LG G2 OLED. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Looks like a work of art. Literally house position. All right, man, so I just wanted to have a real spit video. You know, I like doing these videos last year. All reviews I feel like don't have to be a traditional mesh up between showing the same content, because I think there's a deeper context when it comes down to buying these TVs and which TV belongs in what spot and what space. And you know, the type of people that's going to have like multiple TVs are going to be really somebody that's invested into the hobby. Now, I've met a lot of people, they might not have like the highest echelon, multiple of different variants from the same year, but I've met plenty of different people that's in my crew that I've come across that are into buying TVs, like of all kind, Hisense, TCL, Sony, Samsung. You know, I mean, I met a guy yesterday, we were talking, this dude I met at the gas station, we were just having a conversation. And, you know, the dude brought up that he had an old school Sony Trinitron. And I was telling him, I'm like, man, ironically, in my live stream the other day, I was mentioning I just got rid of my last Trinitron in 2017. And when I moved here from Detroit in 2010, I had, you know, left a Trinitron there too, right? So, you know, I always seem to run across somebody or some people that are just invested into this hobby. And the more that you get invested into this hobby, the more you start meeting like-minded people. Be it they actually invest financially into this, or if they're just, you know, a purist in the space of being in the know, right? Communicating on YouTube, in the forums, because that's all good too, right? We all have something that we're into and we like to be knowledgeable. You find out that people understand the differences between which panel you're buying, what brand you're buying, and what you're utilizing it for. All right, so let's just take the Samsung S95C, right? This TV, 2023, this is like the first QD OLED, right? Second generation. Now, I've decided that this TV would be the best representation for my gaming PC, which, by the way, is an RTX 4090 with an Intel 13900K. I digress. I figured that this TV offered me the absolute best overall performance in the space of color, picture quality. You know, I won't say sound because I do have a receiver connected to this with a audio system inside my game room. So we do got a 5.2 with two subwoofers in here too, just like we have in the living room. I thought that this TV would just be the absolute best. Now, I did have LG options in here. If you guys, depending on how long you've been following, when we did like the A95K and the G3, I had them both positioned in here, but this is my sweet spot for gaming. And so this TV just offers me a little bit of everything that I feel like I need in this space. So even when I'm content creating now, shooting content, looking back at content, I'm seeing everything played back pretty much to how it looks when I'm shooting it. So I'm really enjoying that. Then there are a few different dynamics that the TV has working for it, like, you know, 4K at 144 hertz, which, I mean, you know, depending on who you ask, myself included, is a hit or miss. And that's for this and for the S90C. This thing has a one connect box, so I think that like installation is pretty clean. Even though I got a cable wire or a cable cover kind of managing that, but you know, this TV is just a great TV in its own regard. And we come back to the A95L, right? I mean, this TV, QD OLED, second gen panel, and you might think to yourself, well, damn, why not just calibrate one TV and just let it do what it needs to do? All right, so I've shared this last year with both of those QD OLED panels, A95K, S95B. My personal opinion is that, you know, both of these TV technologies look better in their own way. Okay, I think that the Sony overall just has a better cinematic look to it. I think it's just more of the all-purpose TV in that regard, where, you know, if you're gaming, things are going to look good. You know, you have that vibrancy potential But you know, when you're getting down to making it like your main movie driver, right? Maybe you have an assortment. I won't say a collection because I don't really have a collection, but an assortment of some physical media. I've got tons of digital media, right? In all resolutions and all frame rates and such. But you know, this TV, when calibrated, when set, just looks better, in my opinion, in that space of you just enjoying movie content. It doesn't matter if it's animated. It doesn't matter if it's old school stuff. It just comes out to be, in my opinion, the most pleasurable experience when it comes down to that. S95C, on the other hand, does an amazing job with film too. I mean, I had this TV in that area until we recently moved it into this area. But, you know, having it in this space, I just feel like, you know, for me personally, because I understand that I'm a different type of consumer and I don't take that for granted. I'm very blessed. The work that I put in to make stuff happen, you wouldn't imagine. But this isn't about that. I think that, you know, this TV just comes out to be the best use case for a person that will be watching a lot of film, you know, but they know that they have that gamer side into them because Samsung worked really hard, really hard. I have to give them credit. They worked extremely hard to provide themselves a space at the table of being competitive for gamers. Guys, they have managed to get the lowest input latency out of all of the big three. They've managed to get a quality and a reputable game bar optimization functionality. They have pioneered to go forward with 144 hertz, making it something that's natively supported with the TV. There's no longer a need to overclock this. So they have put you in a position, if you're a PC gamer, to say, hey, use our system, use our platform. This works definitely for it, right? So, I mean, it's just, it puts you in a position to have some great options, one versus the next. Which one's going to work best for you? Man, but what about these guys, right? Life's good. Life is definitely good, especially if you got kids. So, you know, my LG G2 is in the dining room area, right? Primarily used by the kids. Not to say that it's not good for me. Obviously it is. And this was the gaming TV. This was the TV that was on the wall, 77-inch, before the S95C took its place. Amazing technology. And I love what they did with the G2. Last year, I experienced the G2 in my home. I never posted it, though. I had a 55-inch that we utilized, but because it wasn't mine, I didn't share it. I really have this thing about myself. If it's not my content, if it's not my property, I'm not going to share it. I'm not really into that. But in any event, we purchased the G3 this year at 55-inch, and I was just not impressed, right? Not to say that it was a bad TV, because it did have some gains over this G2. But ultimately, it came out to be a better investment for me to get this G2. But for the G3, you know, LG just didn't make the right strides that I felt like they were capable of making. I think that LG is in the best position to take over. I really do. There's a couple of different things that I personally feel like LG needs to work on, though. Number one, I think they need to invest into a QD OLED panel. I think the gallery altogether needs to just change, and it needs to be a quantum dot OLED. You know, I understand what, you know, they're trying to pioneer, but I believe if you segregate and you make the gallery a QD OLED, you put yourself in a competitive space with two of Samsung's options, three depending on how they run next year, because they're probably going to still have some Gen 1 panels that they can utilize and sell, and they might repackage them. They might repackage S90C next year to be S90D, who knows? And then they'll have Gen 2 panels, and then they'll have Gen 3 panels, right? So they're going to have probably 3, if not 4 different offerings next year. But making the gallery a QD OLED puts LG in that space to be competitive with Sony's best and with Samsung's offerings, right? Just by default. Making the standard white OLED with MLA technology with the level of peak brightness for the C model, for the C4, needs to be essential. You need to bring the integrity back to the C series. C3, just not impressive, right? Not to me. Nothing about it makes me feel like, yeah, it's something I got to have. I would absolutely choose to have a G2 over a C3. And having a G3, I can tell you I stepped away from it for a G2. So LG just got some work to do. LG also can get back into being the absolute dominant factor by bringing 144 hertz and being the first manufacturer to wide produce a TV with a DisplayPort connection. If LG can somehow make a MediaTek chip with 4 HDMI 2.1 ports and a DisplayPort, oh my God, can you just imagine it, right? Like, this would be absolutely game changing. This would be something that really separates them and puts them back in complete control of what's going on here, right? This is still my favorite manufacturer based on the loyalty that I have from the consistency that they've brought to us. But enough of all of that. Who's better? Is it the A95L or is it the Samsung S95C? This is a very, very, very sought after discussion for you guys, okay? And I know the kind of content that people are waiting to see is going to be these two together, and again, I've said before and I'll say it here right now, the beautiful thing about this content creating space is you've got a lot of people that will bring you that content. Me personally, having two 77s, hey, these are lifestyle TVs, man. So I have no way to really get them next to each other. But man, this TV, when it came out in the United States, it retailed for $4,500. I think this TV is settling in at about $4,100. And I've already seen some pretty established, well-established discounts that you can tie into from different plans and things of that sort. So this TV being a little bit more dated, coming out about 6 months, 7 months almost ago, it's now starting to see the type of discounts. And with Black Friday, you're probably going to see even more discounts. So the claim to fame for this TV is now going to be everything that you're getting plus the price point, because the TV now does have its age. But for us early adopters, $4,500 for this TV versus $5,000 for this TV. Well, the S95C, unlike this A95L that's in front of you, does give you some features like 4K at 144 hertz for PC gaming. Okay, so you might think to yourself, hey, this is the better option with the A95L not being able to do that. But, the 144 hertz, those type of features, they're not 100% tried and true, which is why a couple of transitions ago, I was just talking about the place that LG is in and what they could potentially be working on to provide the ultimate experience from that space. Sometimes having more features like 4K at 144 hertz doesn't come out to really work for you if it doesn't actually work. It still feels like it's a prototype on the S95C, whereas to the features that you have within the A95L, they have worked on doing things like, improving the game optimizer, giving you more content to look for in the game optimizer, making the operating system more fluid, adding more picture presets, right? Still offering you that Master Series calibration out of the box look for the TV. Obviously, you can go in and definitely manually calibrate it, but the TV out of the box is pretty set to just look great in just about all modes that you can set it on. I think this does a great job. And then the TV has features like in the video that I posted prior to this one, where the actual screen can act as a center speaker system for your home theater audio experience. So there's just a lot that comes in with this thing, right? And then when you look at the price tag year over year, this TV in 77 inches, $5,000, whereas to the prior model A95K last year was $4,000. So, I mean, price points are, they're really good, to be honest with you. Even going down to the 65 inch of this TV being $3,500. Guys, it's $500 less than it was last year to take advantage of the type of technology that they have improved on with a Generation 2 panel that they got from Samsung Displays and all of the other amenities that we talked about here. In closing to this video, I really just want to see LG get better. If I don't see anything, impressive outside of maybe a possible monitor space next year, I definitely won't be making any investments. But I also feel like, there's nothing that really tells me that I have to buy anything from Samsung next year either. This year, I made investments because I wanted larger size TVs. I wanted them throughout the house. And I just wanted to make sure that I had the most optimal experience with everything. I think that ultimately you need to make your investment based on what's going to be best for you. You know, just do the research to fact find how you plan on using it. LG is still a great option, even with the G3, even though I don't have that TV, still a great option where it's just like that in between that's going to give you the quality and the tried and true panel technology and performance. Still works really incredibly well with gaming, right? It's just that, you know, there was just more expected is what it was. And that's to be expected. Honestly, when you have such a track record for development and consistency of growth year over year, you know, when you do drop the ball, so to speak, and you come with smaller gains, then you're going to get what you got with the G3. But you guys just really need to go after whatever's going to be the best bang for the buck for you, that's going to meet your own personal needs. I am here to talk to you guys in the space of transparency. My reviews are not always going to be two TVs playing the same content, because guess what? That's not how they're made. All of these panels are realistically designed to be a little bit different. One's going to play some content better than the other, and you can modify settings to be identical, but sometimes these TVs just don't look right. I think Samsung has a better showcase when things are saturated, and Sony has a better showcase when things are more muted, right? And LG, like I said, is just that kind of in-between balance. And the journey that all of these panel manufacturers are on is to achieve the perfect panel. The interesting thing about that is the competition is just so tough when you get to the top that, you know, upgrades look to be very small. In any event, I'd like to know what you thought about this video. And if you have any type of comments that you like to bring to the discussion, leave them down below. Your comments lead to further content. I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this video. If you liked it, leave a thumb up. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Peace, God bless, and as I always say, Max love.